Fertilizing. I'm sitting at the nursery in Dickinson, Texas. It is a place where I get soil mixes, sometimes get fertilizers. I like to get my roses from here personally. Uh, and John, the owner of this fine establishment, is just a great guy to chop it up with. However, as we go live on YouTube today, here is a few suggestions of what you can do on your lawn right now, even if you think it's toast, okay? Because there is other options versus resodding, and I would know because I bring back the worst, ugliest lawns all the time. In fact, I'm very, uh, let's say, humbled and just thankful to say that there's been many times when even other companies in my industry have recommended me to go out and look at a property because they're like, whoa, this is rough. We don't touch this stuff. You need to call the hippie. I heard he knows about grass. And sometimes I do. So there's different stages of things to do on the lawn depending on how rough it is and your budget, right? Because those are definitely things to consider. Um, Not everyone's starting from the same place, whether it be how rough the lawn really looks. And we're not always starting from the same budget either, which is perfectly okay. There's always something to do to help improve your soil, which will help improve your turf at any budget. So let's start with like a highly effective piece. And I know I've said this before, but I'll never stop talking about it because it's always going to be a good thing to do. And that is simply spraying molasses and humic acid on the soil. It will help stimulate microbes in the soil. It will help break down toxins. It will help break down salts. Okay, so if you are among many people, and you're not alone if you're here, but it's more helpful if you're honest with the situation. If you just over treated it this year, which can happen. It's super easy. Or you put a fertilizer down or a 3-in-1, which is my least favorite ever. Uh, and let's say you burnt up the lawn, okay? Or you put down fertilizer, you got busy, you forgot to water it in, boom, toast. There you go, it's a problem. Well, the good thing is by putting down things like humic acid or liquid humus and molasses, you are going to help release some of that fertilizer, and you are going to help break down the salts that were in that fertilizer. And especially if it's a 3-in-1 like herbicide or an insecticide. I highly did you watch today? I don't know. I don't know what I was supposed to see, Mr. Lord. Um, it's super important to break things down in the soil. And I would say, like, a lot of times what I've seen in the past is there's a lot of nutrients that are locked up in soil, even a lot of nitrogen that gets locked up in soil. And when you put something down like a humic acid, a liquid humus, a humates type of product, uh, yes, it is a little bit about planting. I don't watch soccer. My favorite fruit is probably watermelon. Thanks for asking. Um, this is a lot about how to fix your lawn using natural methods. Okay, so starting with number one, spraying molasses. Number two, humic acid. They're cheap, they're easy, you can get them anywhere almost. You can definitely get molasses anywhere. And when I say molasses, yes, you can use the stuff from the grocery store. It works fantastic. Okay, uh, Briar Rabbit is one of my favorites. Purple Label, Blackstrap Molasses, fantastic stuff. Unless you really want to go a little higher end, then there's Wholesome Organic Molasses. That stuff is top tier, a couple bucks extra, but for whatever reason, it really does make a difference. And hi, Madeline, how are you? However, there is agricultural molasses like Medina. Great product. Molasses or Microlife bottles one. I promise you, for the most part, molasses is molasses. It's going to stimulate soil. It is going to help break down toxins, break down salts, and stimulate microbes, which will stimulate root growth. Okay? Humic acid has a very similar function. It's a little bit slower, like sugars in soil kind of work biologically super fast. Humic acids work a little bit slower, but still help accomplish the same thing. And when you use them together, they work even better. Now, if you want a couple bucks extra, have a little bit more of a budget, product out there that I really like called MicroLife Humates Plus. I like that stuff on everything, all time of year, every condition. But again, if you have toasted your lawn with uh, conventional fertilizer from big box stores, or even if you had a company and they over fertilized it, you use a Humates Plus on that lawn, and you will help again break down the stuff that burnt up the lawn, and you will help release more nitrogen. So it's gonna, like, even what you put down in the past can still be kind of resurrected and effective for you. Now, top tier, okay, way bigger budget, but much more effective in the short term and in the long term. Compost top dressing. Okay, you can do all three of these: molasses, humic acid, I guess four, Humates Plus, and then boom, my favorite. Been doing this for years. Lawn top dressing is where it's at. You can do this in the wintertime. You will see some visible results. Now, I don't know where you're at. I'm in the League City, Texas area, so our average temperature still is like 60 degrees. Right, it's still fairly warm. I even checked it today online. The soil temperature right now is 60 degrees. So it's still moderately active, meaning that whatever you put on the ground is going to have some sort of benefit. Now, the more compost you put down, the more molasses you put down, the more that soil is going to biologically heat up just because of microbial activity, and you will speed up this process. But doing a compost top dressing, you'll have organic matter, you'll have humus, you'll have carbon that will not only release these nutrients and increase what's called your cation exchange capacity, so everything's more available, but once we go into the next summer, which is bound to happen, we are bound to get 6 to 8 weeks of hot, dry weather. And the more humus we have in the soil, the more moisture we can retain. Okay, the more watering is effective. So if you're watering any size lawn, uh, you want to get the most bang for your buck out of your own watering, right? If you're not adding humus to the soil every couple of years, you're doing a disservice, because we are going to, most of us fertilize, right? And every time we fertilize and use higher nitrogen sources, we are speeding up uh, how literally soil eats up organic matter and humus. So it's really important that it gets replaced. And then we have our heavy rains that come, like this over this year. We had Hurricane Beryl, then it rained for like a freaking month, right? And then boom, it's like the water turned off for 2 months or something. It was crazy. It was hot. It was dry. So those extremes by themselves, no fertilizing, no nothing alone, are going to impact your soil structure and the amount of humus you have in the soil, right? Because humus, in a sense, is constantly getting consumed by microbes. And especially, say, if you mow the lawn, you bag it, you're taking away some of that organic material. You're taking away some of those nutrients that you put down. Uh, so I recommend recycling the lawn often. I mean, don't bag it, right? Unless you have a very bad weed problem in the lawn. Uh, then I would recommend bagging it. You're going to reduce the spreading of the weeds, and that will help. But as I've been doing this for 8 years, I used to not be on board with wanting to sell a reoccurring top dressing service, because in my head I didn't want to oversell anything, and I still don't. But I just guess I didn't see the value of doing it again until I've actually had customers long enough now to where it would benefit them again to do another top dressing a couple years later. Does this have to be done every year? No, it does not. But would it be responsible to do once every couple years or once every 3 years? Absolutely. Right? And again, depending on the condition of the lawn, it doesn't have to be a whole lot. Now, if it's a really, really rough lawn, boom, let's pack it on. Let's throw on some organic matter. Let's throw on some compost, some bed mix, get that sucker going and thriving again. But if fairly decent lawn, you don't have to use as much to get the same effectiveness because you've already done it, right? So it's more in like maintenance mode versus restoration mode. So as always, use some molasses, spray that on everything, support soil biology. Humic acid is great. However, whenever you use any of these products or any fertilizing products, water them in very well. They will be more effective for you. And put compost on everything, okay? Soil, healthy soil is truly the base of like all life out of the water, okay? So let's like try to make the soil in our own environment the very best that we can. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for the likes. Please give it a share. Give me a subscribe. Boop, boop. And I'll see you again soon because I'm really enjoying doing these live videos. Peace.